You're about to embark on a wonderful adventure. Let me give you a few tips before you start. First off, let's talk about moving around. To walk, push the left analog stick a little. Push it all the way to run. The right analog stick controls the camera. You can turn the camera with the L1 and R1 buttons too, except in dungeons. When you're on the move, pressing the circle button or the L2 button brings the camera around behind your character. This is handy when you want to look in the direction your character is facing. When you approach an object and press the X button, the character takes a particular action according to the situation. For example, if the object is a door, it will open. If it's a person, you can chat. If you press the triangle button while operating your character, a screen of commands will appear. This screen is called the main menu. On the main menu, you can use all kinds of commands to help you along in the game. For example, you can use items or equip weapons. Remember, on the main menu, you normally use the X button to enter and the circle button to cancel. In some situations, you must press the square button to bring up an item selection window. Choose the item that fits your needs in that particular situation. If you pick the right item, you get to continue with your adventure. If you don't have the item you need in inventory, press the circle button to cancel. Then you've got to go out and look for that item you need. Now I'm going to explain about using normal items. On the main menu, select Items. This brings you to the item window. Move the cursor to the item you want to use with the directional buttons or with the left analog stick. Then press the X button. A list of commands you can use on that item will appear. Just pick the command you want to perform, and that's how you use items. In the item window, using the square button to select an item lets you pick up that item. Once you've got a hold of it, you can move it somewhere else. Pressing the square button again drops the item into the place the cursor is pointing. Move things around any way you want to make them easier to use. You can move items with the triangle button too, but with the triangle button, you can control the amount of that item that you move. Finally, pressing the Select button automatically organizes your items. Pressing the Select button again sorts your items into different orders.
Hey, I'm Donnie, and I'm going to explain the basic controls in the dungeons. The X button is for using the weapon in your right hand. If you press the X button while holding down the L1 button, you'll attack with the projectile weapon in your left hand. If you hold down the X button for a long time, when you release it, you'll do a charge attack. Use it at critical moments. Pressing the R1 button will defend you against the enemy's attack. And if you press the X button while holding down the R1 button, you can pick up a monster close to you and then throw him by pressing the X button again. Cool! In the same way, you can pick up and throw things like the big rocks that are in the dungeons. Try chucking them at the monsters. To advance to the next floor in the dungeons, you need the gate key item. One of the monsters will have the gate key hidden on him, so if you defeat him, you'll get the key. But, of course, you won't know if he has the key or not till you defeat him. And the gate key for each dungeon is a different item, trying not to get them mixed up. When exploring the dungeons, you can switch to the map view by pressing the Select button. Pressing the button will switch between Off, Small Display, and Large Display, so pick which one you want. You can also find floor maps and magic crystals down in the dungeons. With a floor map, you can see the whole layout of the floor you're on. A magic crystal will show you the positions of the monsters and treasure. The map view will be useful for finding both of them. The floor map and the magic crystal won't work anymore when you go to another floor, so you'll have to look for new ones. If you get near a monster and press the circle button when the marker is displayed, you'll go into lock-on mode, which means that wherever you move, you'll always turn to be facing your enemy head-on. Remember this, it'll make it a lot easier to fight. If you want to change the target you've locked on, tap the circle button. Each time you tap it, you'll lock on to a different monster nearby. When you're locked on, moving the left analog stick away from your target and pressing the X button will make you evade to avoid the monster's attack. This is another cool move, so don't forget it. And finally, here's how to get out of the lock-on mode. Move the left analog stick away from your target and press the circle button. That'll do it. When the fight's looking bad, all you can do is run. But when the enemy's too close, you can't run very fast, so you should try to get away as soon as you can. And when the enemy's nearby, you can't open treasure chests. So either drag the chest away from your enemy, or defeat your enemy first and then open it. In the dungeons, you can use items, even during a battle. But to do that, you need to set the item you want to use as an active item first. The item that you select will be displayed in the active item frame at the top left of the screen, even when you're moving around. Select the active item you want to use by pressing left and right on the directional button and press the square button to use it. Items which you can throw will be thrown as soon as you hit the square button. If you throw them once you're locked onto the enemy, you'll be fairly sure of a hit. There are loads of treasure chests scattered around the dungeons, so you're sure to come across a few. But be careful, 'cause some of them are booby-trapped. If you guess the kind of trap and disarm it, you'll be able to open the chest without anything happening. But if you fail to spot a trap, it'll get ya. There are also some treasure chests that are locked. If you have the treasure chest key, that won't be a problem. But if you don't have the key and you force a chest open, you run the risk of setting off a booby trap. Do you know what the red bit is above the monster's HP bar? It's called the rage counter, and each time you attack a monster, it decreases by 1. If you don't defeat the monster before it runs out, the monster will go into rage mode. If that happens, the monster will get a lot stronger, so you'd better not attack it half-heartedly with a weak weapon. In a fight, you could be attacked by things like poison, which will put you in abnormal status. When you go into abnormal status, using normal recovery items like bread won't work. The only thing that will work for poison is the antidote drink. When you're in a particular abnormal status, you'll need the right item to let you recover. When fighting a monster that uses abnormal status attacks, you'd better get yourself the status recovery item before you go in guns a-blazing.
I know enough about weapons not to have to ask anyone about them, but it can't hurt to review. Changing equipment takes place within the item menu, which is reached by choosing item from the command menu. Grab the item you want to equip with the square button. Place it above a character and press the square button again to complete the equipment change. If you press the X button on top of a weapon, you can select the Equip command, which will then equip that weapon. You can change equipment for 5 separate locations: right-hand weapon, left-hand weapon, shoes, body, and head. If you defeat an enemy with a weapon, then their magic power will tumble out of them in the form of tiny blue grains. If you pick these up, then the weapon which delivered the final blow will absorb the magic from them. The parameter which shows how much a weapon has absorbed is the Magic Absorb Status, or ABS. The blue bar at the side of the weapon's icon represents its current ABS. If the ABS bar fills up, then the weapon goes up a level and its stats improve. This is called weapon growth. Weapons also have a stat called WHP, which displays the weapon's durability. This is the orange bar at the side of a weapon's icon. If this falls to 0, then the weapon breaks, and its attacks will no longer affect enemies. You can return a broken weapon to normal by repairing it using Repair Powder. However, if a weapon gets broken, then its ABS will decrease slightly. So, if possible, it's better to fix a weapon before it breaks completely. What's more, some weapons need items other than repair powder to fix them. For instance, guns need gun repair powder and armbands need armband repair powder. So to fix the gun I got from Donnie, I don't need repair powder, but gun repair powder. An effective way to make a weapon stronger is to combine an item with it. If you move the cursor to a weapon on the item menu and press the X button, the weapon menu opens. Select status and information on the weapon is displayed. The synthesis points at the bottom of the status window display what kind of items this weapon can be combined with. As a weapon gains levels, its number of synthesis points increases. If you place the cursor over the item you want to combine next and press the X button, the commands for that item appear. Items which display the command Spectrumize can be combined with a weapon. Selecting Spectrumize breaks down the item and creates a synth sphere that contains the properties of that item. By taking the synth sphere, placing it over the weapon with which you wish to combine, and pressing the X button, you can add the powers within it to those of the weapon. When you find a new, stronger weapon, you can use Spectrumize on your old weapon and then add its abilities to the new one. This is the key to making even stronger weapons faster. However, when turned into a synth sphere, a weapon's stats decrease somewhat. So, without a weapon with high stats to combine it with, the weapon could start out weaker than before. What's more, if you Spectrumize with a weapon that is less than +5, it will become an unstable synth sphere and will hardly alter any stats when combined. Better be careful of that. Weapons have various attributes. You can check them by pressing the X button over a weapon and then selecting Status. The weapon's stats are shown as 10 attributes. Once each attribute goes over a set level, it is possible to evolve the weapon to a stronger one. Each weapon has a maximum limit to each attribute. So making stronger weapons is tough if you don't use build up to advance to a new weapon. Also, in addition to the 10 attributes, weapons can sometimes have other special abilities. The finer points of this are still a little unclear, so let's go over it more closely. As you raise each weapon and certain conditions are met, it can advance to the next weapon rank. This is called weapon build-up. If you build a weapon up, not only does its appearance change, but the limit on its parameters also increases, making it possible to aim for even higher stats. If you select the Build Up command and then click on the question marks under Next Weapon, you can find out exactly which stats need to be improved in order to build up your weapon. Use this information to help you plan how best to raise up each weapon.
Hey, Borneo here. I'll be explaining how to move around. To go to a different area, select Move from the main menu. You can ride on the train to the area you choose. All you have to do is choose a place on the area map and leave the driving of the train to Cedric and me. If you use the Move command in the dungeons, you can check the dungeon info. If you then press the square button, you can get out of the dungeons whenever you like. But if you escape before completing a floor, you'll lose half your money. But it's up to you. If you want to get out of the dungeons, the best way to do it is wait until you've completed a floor, and then choose Leave Dungeons from the menu that appears. This way you won't be wasting your money. The conquest of a dungeon is not a thing to be rushed.
Let me tell you about the Ridepod. When you're up against a big, tall baddie, or facing a nasty opponent that isn't fazed by normal attacks, that's when you call on the Ridepod. To switch over, all you gotta do is go to the character menu and select the Ridepod. The green bar on the status screen shows how much energy you got left, but be careful, because when this hits 0, you won't be able to maneuver it in the dungeons anymore. By defeating an enemy with the Ridepod, the core at the heart of the machine builds up experience points, or EXP. And by building up its EXP, you can upgrade the core and raise its capacity. The capacity tells you what parts the core can handle, and the higher the capacity, the better parts you can install. Once you start racking up the EXP, just let me know and I can upgrade your core for you.
When you get a Monster Change badge, you can transform into that monster. Use the main menu's Character command to select a character, then Monster Transform. If you have a badge, you'll be taken to the Badge Select screen to select the monster you'd like to change into. You'll be able to speak with other monsters of your own kind. Who knows what secrets you'll uncover? You can't get badges that easily. You have to figure out a way to defeat the right monster first.